I always taught you that you could have whatever you dream. Well, I want you to hold on to that dream, baby. Hold on to it real tight, 'cause the sky's the limit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Joey Fixes Your Life, a motivational podcast to help you on your journey no matter where your season finds you. These podcasts are designed to candidly, honestly, objectively, and humorously look at life and get some guidance to best live it through your day-to-day challenges. I always say I'm no expert at anything other than how to be myself, and in saying that, I've learned a lot about what works for me. And also finding out what has worked for me, I do my best to share it in such a way where others can apply it to their own lives if they choose. I believe we're all looking for more encouragement, far less judgment, acknowledgement, acceptance, peace, companionship, fulfillment, and love. In recognizing this, my goal with my podcast is to take on some of these ideas, how they show up in your life amidst great challenge, and what you can do to still experience them even if deterred. Something I frequently say is make good choices, which at one time was a sitcom-style joke I gained from moral-driven television. It stopped being a joke when I realized it truly does mean just that, and I've thus adopted it when I talk to people and when I take them on as students as their life coach. I actually upgrade that to make productive choices. So, let's tuck into this podcast and see what surfaces. Thank you for joining me again for the chance to explore more for your space, where your thoughts are being drawn towards and what your feelings are making you aware of. It's been a very powerful time for me, and this podcast is going to focus on strength, power of words, encouragement, support, and taking action. I believe these are some of the most crucial cornerstones to allowing you to reinforce your space when you want to see it be moved forward. What is often challenging, though, is when you also have a substantial amount of fear filling your space, and it disables you to see with the clarity necessary to do what is in your best interest. That is where we will stand for today's podcast. We will look at what can be built when there is no means of seeing the path to lead ourselves out of the darkness. The greatest weapon we have in challenging times is our inner and outer language, which I like to refer to as encouragement language. Speaking intently to know that there is an available solution and how you bring it to you when you don't know how to believe it will appear. It's one part faithfulness, another part consistency, and a final part trusting, which is how you create your space of work, so these efforts build the result that is to come. The old adage that you are the architect of all you will experience is true, and today I want to talk about putting in the work that gives you the result and all the tools to make that experience significant to you believing more in yourself. Get busy manifesting. Since these podcasts have began, I've chronicled my journey of my relocation to Las Vegas, Nevada, to share the ups and downs that have been in my path. Change is always one of those events where you are going to meet plenty of different sides of yourself, and I know for me, I've been getting well acquainted with myself and learning more about how to rely on myself too. It's been literally 34 days since I've moved, and I've managed to do some serious looking at myself so I could better understand what I want to do with my life in this next season. What kept coming up for me was how to deal with struggle. I spoke before about having a practice of my self-care routine, which I put in place to better focus my daily efforts and being productive towards my goals. This has always really been a vital part of what I've experienced of my relocation thus far, because it has allowed me to frame the space with resilience, consistency, persistence, and perhaps the most challenging, faith. I have my first major milestone after 34 days and am now proud to share I am gainfully employed with 2 jobs. I share this because this has been one of the most eye-opening experiences I've had in the years, because it truly taught me a lot about how I was thinking and what actions I was taking when I applied my thought process to the space. Something I've been working on with the students I coach is the understanding of the manifesting things into their experience of life and how dependent it is upon the language they use both externally and internally. We experience everything by how we talk about them and feel towards them, as I have said before. And because of this, we will cause with greater probability the appearance of a thing by how powerful this language is. Let me walk you through the first job that I acquired. I was lucky enough to get a banking industry job at the corporate level. It was everything I wanted, and it started first with me thinking I wasn't going to get it. I applied for the job online through Indeed.com, a site one of my best friends suggested to me years ago. In the onset, I looked at the posting and thought, this just doesn't seem likely. However, of the jobs I'd applied for, it was really one of the 3 most attractive to attempt to land as a starting point in my Vegas journey. I had the experience, so I applied. To my pleasant surprise, the recruiter responded to me fairly quickly. As we went back and forth through email, I began to look at how I was engaging with the situation. I would tell myself I needed to secure my job, and at the same time, I was so fearful of not landing anything at all. The funny thing was, it was easier to believe I wouldn't get the job than it was to trust that I would get it. While applying for the job, I also began further reading books I keep, and this was about the time I got very serious with the onset of my self-care regimen. I told myself to make the active choice to focus on how I was thinking about the job hunt process and the reality of needing to pay bills with funds dwindling and fear growing. I decided one day in the shower, no matter what I was going to do, I was going to take every opportunity to use more encouraging language with myself for the space about job hunting. I understood how much it was impacting every other area in my life, and not just that it was having a powerful impact on my feeling state, it was running my feeling state. I had to be that much more careful of not harming myself emotionally and mentally when things weren't going as I'd like them to be by choosing to remain optimistic. I got out of the shower after I felt more pulled together and said the best thing I can do going forward is believe I can land the job. I was checking emails after I'd gotten dressed, as I normally would, and to my surprise, my application kept moving to the point of getting set up for an interview. I would later on chat with a few close friends about how the whole experience was going with relocating and the challenges I was facing. I was getting a lot of great support emotionally when I realized I had enough support to be drawn upon if I chose to let others into the space. I believe the combination of support and changing my mind to believe that made the next space appear with greater speed and velocity. At a point later in the week, I was called on the phone for an interview that lasted just about 35 minutes, and thereafter offered to interview for the role in person. I was expressly told that only if I passed the interview with the first manager would I progress to the second, which is where an offer for the role would be officially made. I remember cutting my hair and shaving the day before that interview. I remember pulling out my outfit and getting dressed using that mindset of encouraging language, and something told me that I had the job as I was simply getting dressed. I went to that interview and blew the whole space out of the water, to the very point that I landed the highest rate of pay the role offered and an increment increase due to the days I chose to work. After I accepted that, it was when things got interesting because the job was divulged to start in March. Now, I'm excited and alarmed at the thought that I'd have to now go from January 6th until March 9th not working. Okay. I left the interview happy I landed the role. However, my mind thought I really felt like I just got out of the Hunger Games just to go right back in as tribute. In the interim of finding the other job was when things really got darker than I would have liked. I was still practicing my self-care routine. However, I had a bubbling frustration that wouldn't die down no matter what I did. Until one day, while after having prior finished a successful interview and being told I'd be contacted about a role a company really wanted to offer me hadn't even materialized, I awoke to an overdrawn bank account. Let me tell you, my faith and positivity took a lunch break and I hit the bottom that rushed up to me hard. I was once more in the shower trying to rein in the talk that was going on in my head when I suddenly said to myself, I'm about to have a full shutdown. Lo and behold, 100% I had that and then some. I ended up leaving my apartment to drive to some unknown location, parked my car, and just cried it all out for a good 10 minutes. I was so overwhelmed by the situation, the frustrating efforts that weren't turning out results, and still having so many obligations that needed attention, bills piling up, a new month approaching, and I felt so hopeless for the moment. Then I had a breakthrough I needed. 5 days prior to this, I had been doing affirmation work, and I had written an affirmation that focused on bringing me people, tools, and circumstances that would allow me to succeed now in the present. A friend had put me into a group that was doing work on our perception of abundance and manifestations. While in my car, I had taken my notebook with me and had one of our assignments that needed to be done. It was strange. I felt a certain strength enter my body and realized in that moment how resilient I was. I didn't shrink back and just say that nothing couldn't be done. That was powerful. After crying, I said to myself, okay, you know what? You are human. It is all right to have felt the way that you were. If you're angry, frustrated, even sad, that is natural, and you need to not pretend that you aren't struggling with this space by saying otherwise. Once I made peace with the space and did my assignment, I realized for the first time the support system I had manifested for this entire situation. I had a group that was supporting and inspiring me and pushing my thought process. I had students I was coaching that gave me greater insight to how we each experience life and overcome challenge. I had close friends uplifting me in conversations and actions regularly, and with all of that, I realized I had the chance to pull myself up even more by believing in all of this positive energy. After the drive home, I decided I could do better the next day. I made myself a promise I'd choose to believe the positive and stop entertaining anything that didn't make me feel positive. Man, did the whole space change. I went online the next morning, saw a retail job posting, told myself I was going to their in-person interviews, and pulled together the outfit that said to me I was going to land the job. Interviewed on the spot, was offered a trial run the following evening. I went into that day with the same determination from the moment I woke up to the point of the trial run. I practiced intentional, encouraging language and focused as well on knowing why I was taking action. All of those things culminated into me leaving that space with a higher offer for work that begins next week. Boom, my second milestone now surfaced, and I truly understood the greater lesson in it. I had to really take the time to understand where our language will take us when we choose to believe in it, because doing so, we also believe in ourselves, or alternately, don't believe in ourselves. Ultimately, this lesson was a powerful one because within it, I had learned what I was believing. When I said I was going to have a shutdown, I did so, with all the negative energy I was willing to experience for having agreed that I was to have it. Though it absolutely served its purpose, it does also show how powerful our minds are. When I chose to have faith in my space for its support system, for the language I could use on myself to empower me to make and take actions totally in alignment with what I wanted to accomplish, I saw results in a snap. Even in sharing the accomplishments with my friends, I saw the benefits it provided for inspiring others to believe in the good that can come about when we do the work necessary to change our circumstances. It took not only having the positive energy, it took focusing it into intention and intention into action, and action brought about the outcome that reflected what I believed. I say all of this to anyone whom is battling your inner dialogue on a regular basis regarding where you find yourself in your life. You absolutely must know how pivotal it will be to practice using more encouraging language when you deal with challenging times than anything else. You must understand how the language leads to your feeling state, and the feeling state leads to how you'll have actions and opportunities that will give you back what you feel. Doing the work means looking at yourself, looking at the choices you've made, looking at what tools you have and what support system you have. All these things, when focused with powerful intention language, will manifest the most amazing things, especially when we remember we live in a universe that wishes to give us what we truly feel. I say all of this too to remind you that you can have that which you seek, and it's all up to what you bring to your space to make it appear. Be smart. Be a part of other circles that uplift you. Take the risk of doing something different. That may be what's needed than what you have been doing. Plan your time. Use your time wisely as well, because the planning becomes what you experience after that time has passed. I once read things do not change until you do, and I believe this to be true. It is in remembering this that we should understand our resources, tools, thoughts, and feelings combined regarding a situation will depend on what we believe, and that belief will pull to it everything needed to give you back your results. Know how to use your intentions going forward. Power them by the words you use and believe, and then work that space to receive the outcome that reflects your intention. Your greatest endeavors take great effort in the face of challenging times. They take even greater capacity of your belief in them to see them rise. And I promise, when you start believing in all that you have and are, you truly create something powerful to receive that changes the course of your journey. Get busy manifesting with greater intention and see just how quickly things turn themselves around.